All right, problem number 69 on the CP final exam practice problems says, what kind of classification of chemical reaction is represented here? I'm going to double check, but I believe that question, 69, corresponds to 67 on the honors chemistry practice exam, and it does, okay? Well, we're going to look at the type of chemicals we have here, and you should be able to recognize that since I have more than two elements here in this formula, I have three, that there's probably a polyatomic ion somewhere in here. And if you don't know that this is a sulfate ion, then you haven't been paying attention in class. And if you don't know for sure, then you can always look it up on the common ions list if you're in a CP class. So the common ions list shows that sulfate is right here, SO4, just as this is SO4. Now, if you're in an honors class, you're supposed to memorize the polyatomic ions. This is one you're supposed to memorize. So we have a polyatomic ion that tends to stay together. That's considered a one part of the chemical. So it's all kind of stays together. It's considered one thing. And then the copper over here is one thing. So there's two parts in that formula, a copper and a sulfate. Then the iron is all by itself. Fe is iron. If you didn't know that, you'd look it up on the periodic table. If you're in an honors chemistry class, you're supposed to memorize and understand that Fe is iron. It's on your periodic table, but the names aren't there. What we can see here is that the iron is going over here and joining up with the sulfate, and we end up with iron and sulfate here. And the copper ends up by itself. Well, by definition then, we have a one-part chemical that's replacing some part of a two-part chemical. One-part chemical replaces some part of a two-part chemical. We end up with iron and sulfate together, and one part of the two-part chemical is by itself, and that, by definition, is what a single replacement reaction is. That's its classification. All right, sometimes also called a single displacement, and I actually like displacement better. I think it tells more of what's going on. Single displacement reaction. So either one of those is fine. Okay?